Chris Carson, who we'll turn this over to in just a minute, him taking the time to put these slides together and this presentation together with us. I asked Jared there, or once he asked me to go ahead and get involved, I also asked if I could take a second and first kind of outline why we wanted to offer this presentation at this point. And us, Domain Systems, being involved, in the business here for the last, 20 years, primarily in the on-premise agile PLM space. I mean, we've got a vast customer base, right? And through our inquiries and sales effort at this point, we've been getting a lot of incoming questions from our customer base as to Oracle Cloud, specifically Oracle PLM Cloud. What is the ready state of the product? What can we be adding in the way of cloud products to complement what we've got in our Agile on-premise solution, or of course, ultimately as an option to that. And so those types of questions are what drove this webinar here to fruition. So from there, I wanted to just jump down into the current offerings, right? Domain Systems, Global Engineering. We are in fact a reseller and have been for years and years, right? And then now co-selling cloud with Oracle. We bring a unique perspective from our years in business in the way of process consulting, right? So PLM generally, and of course now working with customers as they either transition to full cloud or hybrid options, which we'll talk a little bit more about, bringing in complementary products that Oracle has been recently rolling out and will be rolling much more of here out in the Modern Supply Chain event coming up this upcoming February. So we of course have our managed solutions. This is focusing on the application side of the business, right? So the processes associated with the day-to-day, again, of course, with on-premise and now the cloud products that are being rolled out. From there, we go into the administration side again, so focusing on the application, right, from disaster recovery, hosting, then we go all the way down. So you can see as far as our current offerings, very vast, and these have evolved over the last 2 decades, really, into what they are today. So, with a lot of the advertising and what we're all seeing and the buzz around cloud and these transitions, I mean, I think we, as companies, customers, even partners as ourselves, understand that ultimately cloud is going to be where the majority of our business lives. There are going to be some restrictions or limitations that are always going to keep the on-premise market alive. Oracle's highlighted that. They are rolling out new versions of on-premise Agile. We understand that. However, but seeing a big shift and transition across, discrete manufacturing, which is where our attendees live today. So, from there, we as a partner are working with our customers as they transition their business, what aspects of their business over to these cloud products that we'll talk a little bit more about. And again, you'll see Oracle offering and highlighting hybrid or full cloud solutions at this point. And so the logistics between that transition can be complex. It does not happen overnight. And there's of course the overall drivers, for that side, or for that transition rather. You've got what's the overall company initiative and goals. We're seeing customers, there's mandates as to their transition pace, what they're looking to do, and where they're looking to be long term, and in many cases that is 100% cloud. So with that, we'll move on. And again, wanted to introduce Chris Carson, longtime Oracle consultant, and really appreciate him putting a lot of this together, and he'll jump into that now. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn this over to him.
All right, thank you, Ben. Can maybe you can confirm you can hear me all right?
Yeah, hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. All right, so thank you for that setup. And, before we get started, maybe just a little bit about me. As Ben mentioned, I have been involved with Agile Oracle for quite a bit of time now. I got my start in PLM back in the early 90s at Sun Microsystems, which later was acquired by Oracle. But then I actually joined Agile when it was quite small. And I think, a lot of you are Agile customers. And I joined in 98, so back on Agile version 4. And, at Agile, I had an opportunity to do a variety of roles, a solution consultant, professional services, and also product management. So I've had an opportunity to spend a lot of time not only with Agile and Oracle, but also with our customers, understanding how they're using the system. And so now I'm a little more focused on the cloud components of the Oracle PLM solution, and that's what we're going to focus on today. And I think that the first question is just, what is the ready state? What is the breadth of what's available from Oracle today from a cloud standpoint? And we'll cover that first. Then we'll dive into a little more detail. So we'll go into some of the specifics around capabilities so you can get your hands around what it actually is a little bit better. We'll have a short discussion on, what's right, SaaS or on-premise. This will be, Domain and I, giving what we've seen in the industry. And then finally, we'll wrap it up. And there'll be time for questions at the end. So feel free, as I go through this, to log questions in the chat. And, it should take me about 30 minutes to go through this. And so, we'll have some time at the end to get into the questions. And so before we get into the specifics, one thing I want to highlight is that this area of innovation to commercialization, it really is across all industries. And so I think we have a pretty good mix of different types of customers on the webinar today. But this idea of having to have an intersection of people, processes, and data, and how you can effectively manage these processes to develop the products or services that your companies are selling, it has a direct impact not only on the top line around new products you're selling, but also on the bottom line around how you're managing the costs and the effectiveness of the solutions. So I think the good news is, this addresses all the different industries that are out there right now. And then the question is, well, why does it matter? And so, decisions about product investment and the ability to execute effectively determine the company's top line revenue. When you look at a Deloitte study, 86% of the world's CEOs consider innovation critical for their business growth strategy. And so the benefits are immense, but then not many people are able to realize them. So you'll see that 50% of companies are not satisfied with their return on innovation. And only a third of companies struggle to convert great ideas into great products. And really what this is telling us is it's a critically important business area, but it's also one where companies struggle. And so then the question is, well, why are so many companies falling short of their expectation, and why aren't these numbers better? And so there's so many systems and disconnects that support the critical innovate to commercialize processes, right? And so we'll look at the data that spans across this entire process area. And to stay aligned, a significant amount of information needs to be shared between key stakeholders and across different processes. And unfortunately, most companies have silos of information, and this results in competing processes and multiple systems. And so these disconnects create inaccurate information, and then vital decisions are being made on this maybe suspect information. And so companies recognize that innovation is more than just a vision, and constituents from all the functional areas contribute and validate this whole idea to product funnel. And so when you think about when you look at this too, and you think about maybe the traditional Agile on-premise or PLM, it was always focused in that more developed stage in the middle. And really, the title of this webinar was the Innovate to Commercialize. And what Oracle is doing is pushing the whole, pushing the processes earlier in the stage around this whole innovation. How do you capture the ideas and execute on them? And then also making improvements on the tail end of the process. And how do you do the commercialization? And how do you set up all of the information that isn't necessarily PLM data, your traditional PLM data, but it's all the manufacturing attribution and the site information that you need to be able to manufacture it. And so, when we talk about innovate to commercialize, think of it as, this is what we're talking about from a process standpoint. And so then when you have all this information and it's in all these different systems and all the different people, really the challenge is not so much that you don't have the data, it's the challenge that the data is everywhere, but at the same time it's nowhere, right? Because if you don't know what data you should be accessing or what data is accurate, then it's really not helpful. And so as you look at, you think about your organization and how you're capturing maybe requirements or strategic plans and, your product roadmap, and how that feeds into the, the parts and BOMs and then into quality and manufacturing. For the existing Agile customers, you may have a pretty good handle, right, on this development stage. But the question is for the, the front end and the tail end, are there spreadsheets or homegrown systems or shared drives? And, what we see is the challenge is just a lack of standardization. And also, it's very difficult to be able to trace a product or a problem from where it occurred all the way back to the root cause. And so if you get all of this data in a single platform, then you have the ability to help with clarity around all those areas. And so then the real question is, well, so why does this matter, right? And so throughout every stage of the product life cycle, we're going to help you modernize your product development systems and processes to help raise your return on innovation. And so if you think about a traditional flow of cash, the question is, well, what can you do to change that flow, right? What if you could get products to market sooner? What if you could have a set of requirements that could allow you to sell that product for longer? And then what if you could also leverage all those lessons from previous products and then apply them to your next generation product? And so I think that the key thing is that Innovate to Commercialize is critical to the success of the company, right? It's all around what products are you developing and are you getting them to market on time and are you getting the most out of them? And then, studies have shown that if companies are doing this effectively, they can double their revenue growth from new products. And they can almost triple their return on innovation investments, right? And so you think, depending on the industry you're in and the focus of the products, a lot of companies, the way that they're measured now is what new products are coming to market and how much of the revenue is from those new products, right? And this directly correlates with that. So how can you more effectively bring successful products to market and be able to capitalize on that? And so with that, we'll get into some of the details now of what the, what the solution is. And I think that the first thing is Oracle is offering a full cloud solution, right? And this is across the entire spectrum of business processes. And so this is a complete suite of applications that you can consume incrementally. They all have a secure, common, unified data model. And then the applications can be tailored to individual preferences and extended through the platform. So think of this as a single solution across the entire business footprint, right? What we're going to focus on specifically is the Oracle supply chain. And so when you drill into supply chain, you're going to see the main process areas. And another key thing to take away from this is think about the unified data foundation, right? And an item is the simplest way to think about it, or, a bill of material. What if you, across all of these processes, you could just have a single data model, a single set of information, and everybody is leveraging that same information? And then from a user standpoint, you have a common modern UI, you have full mobile support and embedded analytics. And from an IT standpoint, you get away from any kind of hardware setup. You're eliminating or reducing integrations because you have data in a common system. And then you also have a common set of APIs. If you do need to push data to other systems, then you can do that. And so if you think about this, it's really a broader, simpler footprint using a common data model with pre-built business flows and no need to replicate data or to do customizations and move them from upgrade to upgrade. And so if you think about this, it's really supporting your entire idea to commercialization process, from the fuzzy front end to the portfolio design through development and commercialization. And really what we're going to focus on today, right, with the big arrow, is we're not going to cover the rest of this stuff, but we're going to drill into this Innovate to Commercialize business process area. And so, when you look at this, again, I'll restate that, PLM traditionally was in this middle development stage. And really the focus now is moving earlier in the process to be able to manage your ideas, your requirements, your whole innovation portfolio. Then being able to extend this on the tail end to simplify and better control the whole process and setup for manufacturing products, be it multi-channel commerce or just multi-site manufacturing internally. And then streaming across this entire area, you have project and resource management. And this is full phase gate project management with task and resource management. And so when you think about kind of the first question on the agenda was, well, what's the scope of what the solution is? And this is the scope of what Cloud PLM, Oracle Cloud PLM offers right now. And what we'll do from here is we'll go into a little more detail on what that means for each of these sections. And so we'll really move through this process starting with innovation. And what I'm going to focus on here is what we're trying to enable a business to do is to capture ideas, to be able to aggregate and analyze those ideas, put together a business case to determine, is this a good idea or not, and do I want to move forward? And then also have the capability to fully manage the product requirements. So, not only is it a good idea and financially it makes sense to do it, here's what we're actually setting out to do and a full list of requirements. And these requirements can then be linked to the product. They can be linked to test cases. So you can get the full verification and validation that, today with the Agile system, standalone is a little bit of a challenge. And so when we log in to the Oracle Cloud Platform, it's going to be a common UI for, across all of these solutions. But really what you get are tiles for the area that you're going to focus on. And what we're going to focus on is the product management area. And you'll see within here, it breaks down into subcomponents. And what our goal is to be able to define a product, as the user I'm logged in as. I want to be able to define a product using the best ideas. And these can be best ideas from internally, from customers, or from trading partners. And then I want to be able to develop a product by minimizing the risk and reducing the cost and hitting critical launch dates. And then finally, I want to be able to prepare this product for a big bang launch. And so that's kind of, we're going to go through a quick flow of the process, and that's what we're going to hit on. And so if I drill into ideas, the ideation capabilities are going to allow you to crowdsource information. You can get it from many sources. You get triage analytics to quickly separate the good from the bad. And so one of the nice benefits of the cloud is you have the built-in Oracle analytics. So this isn't an additional product that needs to be purchased. It's just part of the product. And with that, you get the charting and the drill down on the information. And so in this case, I want to further refine it down to a specific campaign, right? And so for those of you maybe on the ideation side, you might be familiar with the concept of a campaign. I think of it as very similar to a marketing campaign, right? Where you have something where you want to go out and execute on it. And in this case, the company is running a tablet campaign, meaning they're looking for new ideas. They want to be able to aggregate and collect those ideas for a specific area to then be able to analyze them and understand what's a good fit. And so now you'll see we have a life cycle for all these ideas so we can understand where they're at. We're getting some stuff from customers. We're getting stuff from internal people. And you can use this tag cloud to help you understand, what is resonating or what are the common themes. And you'll see in this case, holographic is coming up quite a bit from an idea standpoint. And so now if we drill into the idea, there's a couple things here. First off, we're going to define what the idea is. You could use nice rich text where you can embed pictures or videos or tables, do all kinds of color coding. This is some nice functionality for the Agile people, a little above and beyond what or until recently what wasn't available, but you do get the nice functionality in here. And then a whole new piece is this Oracle social network. And so you'll see we have a little social icon, and the social network allows you to do chatting within a business object. You can also attach files and do quick annotations or markup to files. And what this allows you to do is to have these collaborative discussions around, be it an idea or a business case or requirements. And that information will travel with the business object, you know, for you to review later and come back and understand why you made a decision. You can also easily link the idea with a business case. So now we have a business case laid out here, and we're going to go look into this. And really think of the business case as, you know, we refer to it as a proposal, and it's a mechanism to be able to shepherd the good ideas and get them to increasing levels of scrutiny where you can eventually have a full portfolio review process. And so you can use this for management decisions around what you're going to move forward to planning and execution versus what you're just, you do not want to execute on. And so, you know, each customer is a little bit different on how they put together a business case, but they're also very similar, right? And this is just showing you an example of how you can describe what it is and capture the details about, you know, what's actually involved. And I think, you know, from my standpoint, maybe the greatest value of this is it can drive standardization, and you can start to do, you know, an apples to apples comparison of how ideas stack up. And, you know, in my work experience, that was, even though that seems like something you would always do, it actually didn't always seem to work out that way, right? So when you have a tool in place to help drive that standardization, it helps improve the whole review and selection process. And now from the proposal, which we can route for approval and make sure everybody's on the same page, you can also manage requirements as a team. You know, this is collaborative requirements management with real-time analytics. You can version control and freeze the definition at any point. You know, and when we look at this, we can see a mix of requirement priorities and their progress and where we're at. So you get the full indented tree, you can embed comments, you get a nice chart of where the requirements are at. And then as you build out a requirement, they can support rich text, pictures, and video, along with attributes, right? And so if you think about, you know, you guys, it's probably a mix on how people are managing requirements right now. You know, there are some systems that enable you to do it. What my experience has been, there's a lot of Word doc or maybe Excel. And this is kind of, I think, a combination of both, right? Because you get the full structure of a Word doc and you can describe exactly what the requirement is. But then you get all the attribution that you would get in a spreadsheet where you can now start to do analytics and reporting and understand what the state of a given set of requirements is. And this is entirely configurable by you, right? These are just the example out of the box fields, but you can add whatever is appropriate. And then you can also link the requirements with related information, right? So in this case, you know, we have a series of products that are going to tie out. And so for people who are looking at a full cloud solution, this is just linking to the product development in the cloud. But for the Agile customers who are going to use this in addition to Agile, this is a link into your Agile system. And so this just queries the item master in Agile. There's an out-of-the-box integration. You just turn it on when you start, and it enables you to pull this data in from Agile. And then finally, when you're tying all this information together, it really is a galaxy of information. It's ideas, requirements, concepts, parts. You get this nice graphical navigator, which helps tie it all together. And from here, you can navigate, you know, in this case, we have the business requirements, we have the test cases, we have the physical product itself. And you can see, you know, there is a lot of information in here. And by nature, it's complex. And this just gives you a way to be able to drill into any area and see the interrelationships. And then finally, the product portfolio allows you to create scenarios and compare all these proposals, you know, business cases to determine the right mix of products or services. And when we look at this, right, the first risk-reward resource evaluation shows that our tablet project, has a bit more technical risk and resource needs, but the financial reward is more than all of the other ones combined. So you get some built-in analysis where you can start to pull together all these ideas that you're evaluating and understand what makes sense to move forward with. And think of this really too as alignment, right? You're getting everybody on the same page, that this is something that we want to be able to execute on, and this is the reason we're going to execute on it. Now everybody get in line and let's move forward because this is what we're doing. And maybe as importantly, this is, what we're not doing, right? So I think it's really powerful for that. And so that is the first section, which is innovation, and that's all around this capturing ideas, putting together business case, building out requirements, having an innovation portfolio to drive decision making. Next, we're going to drill into the project and resource management because this really spans across the entire process. And so when you come in as a project manager, somebody who's working on a project team, you're going to get visibility first off to your projects, your assignments, how you're doing from a progress standpoint. And then if you want to drill into your projects, you get a nice milestone view. And so this is allowing me to see everything that I'm focused on, but maybe, right now I'm just working on too many things, right? And I want to filter it down, and I want to focus on this project that's really critical to the customer or to the company's success, and one I want to focus on first. So when I filter it down, I'm now getting a nice, simpler view of what I need to do. We have the nice, date and time stamp, and you can see the status of the milestones and where I'm at. So this is a really effective way for understanding and making sure everybody's on the same page for where you are from a project execution standpoint. And you can also drill in from here into the specific details. And so when I drill in here, I'm going to see now that I'm on my phase 0 and I've got key work items. And this is including data that I was showing earlier. So the original proposal, the requirements, the concept design. And so I can see the status as well as where they are. And so for those, again, maybe for the Agile customers in PPM, this is a similar concept where the data itself is driving the status and the update of the task. And so you're able to close out project tasks based upon the supporting data. And then when I look at this and I see that I'm actually a little bit behind, and I know that I need to get some additional resources, this is going to now allow me to manage project resource requests. And so if I want to go in and evaluate what resources are available and what capacity is there, the resource management capability provides quite a bit. For users, you can break out what their skill sets are. You can, show what location they're in. You track what their availability is. So you're able to do, a qualification assessment, based upon what's asked for. Do they meet the need? And also an available capacity. And you get the nice charting to be able to understand, all right, who do I actually want to be able to assign on this project? And so that's a quick view of the project and resource management. And this, again, spans across all of these different areas that I'm going to highlight, including development and commercialization. And so now we're going to move in and take a look at the development component. And this is all around managing parts and documents, bill of material, AML, change control processes. And so again, maybe for the Agile crowd that's on, this would be more aligned with the product collaboration component of the Agile on-premise solution. And so first off, we're going to come in and take a look at an item. And when we look at the item, we can see, hey, so this is an appending Rev D. So this is our tablet product. And there's a couple things to understand about this. First off, it has a grade. So we have an item grade that's at B, and we could see our AML sourcing. So 60% of the parts are multi-sourced, which is great. But we also have a lot of parts that are single-sourced. So this is one of those areas where, traditionally, again, with Agile, you could build a PX or something to look at sourcing and roll it up, but out of the box, it didn't do it. And this is something that's going to provide that straight out of the box. And then also from a bill of material standpoint, you get to understand, well, do I have unreleased components on here? Do I have any obsolete products? So it's this idea that when you come into the product, you're going to get a nice summary of what it looks like from the landing page. And then if we drill into the bill of material, we just collapse the structure here so there's a little more view. You're going to see that you get a fully indented bill of material. From here, you can navigate to, to the parts or sub-assemblies. You get to see all of the where used information if there's more than one where used. You get to see AML data, pending changes, and documentation. So from this bill of material, you'll have the entire product structure and links to be able to get to the detailed and related information. And then one thing that's just part of the cloud solution that is part of the framework is the context-sensitive help. And so this is a nice feature in that for any field or business object, if you want to be able to turn on help, you can turn on that help. And then within there, you can customize what you want to have in there from a user message, and you can also embed links. So if you want to do either to Oracle training material or to your own internal training material, so videos, etc. And so now we're also on an ECO here, a change order. And so the change order is going to have details around the affected objects and the change operations, and we'll also have impact analysis, which is nice. This will do some analysis all the way up to the top level product for you and help you understand what top level product is impacted from the affected objects. And then you can also take it through a workflow process. And so from here, you can see past and future approvals. You can define, default and ad hoc approvers. And this uses the underlying, Oracle Beeple workflow engine, which has a lot of advanced workflow scenarios, and you can use it for business process interactions as well as on-premise integrations. And so that's the development, the items, the bombs, the change control process, the AML. And then this final stage that we're going to look at, the commercialize, is around, well, what is it that I need to do from an item setup standpoint? And this is, all the attribution that you're adding probably today in your ERP system, whatever it might be, right? And so there's all the planning attributes, the manufacturing attributes, maybe service attributes. All of this data needs to get set up and needs to be controlled. And what the Commercialize component allows you to do is to set all this information up in a single location, be able to control it and have one clean item master, and then push this information to your ERP or to whatever other system might need to consume this, single set of clean item data. And so this, the product that I'm focused on here is the Oracle Cloud Product Hub. And what this does, it has a predefined data model with content assigned to functional areas. And so you'll see here a whole set of information. And so we can receive data from other systems coming in here, and we can also push data to external systems. And like I was saying, the whole idea is to be able to have a point where you can have clean item data and minimize the number of places you need to touch it and set it up, and then just push this data to the systems that need to consume it. And so in this case, you'll see that we have a whole breakdown of attribution. And when we look at the planning attributes, you can set this up so only the users that should be able to update planning attributes can update it. So maybe this is all the data that the planning person sees. And then once it's set up here, you can push this data to the system that needs to consume it. And you can also refresh data back if necessary. And then you can also set up the single or multi-site bill of material in here. And so in this case, we have an example where we have 2 sites and we have bill of material for each of those sites. And so again, this is an area where, you know, different customers have done it different ways in traditional Agile on-premise. And this is a capability where you can push the data here, and then you can also define and update the multi-site BOMs. And then finally, you can also track a whole series of relationships. And so in this example, we're showing trading partner items. So maybe, you know, we're selling this through a channel or through other companies. And we want to have the ability to be able to link that data so that we know exactly what numbers everybody is using for the same product. And so this allows you to establish that relationship and be able to match the part numbers of, you know, who's selling this product under one part number. And then you can also, we talked about integrations, you can define these spoke systems or areas that are going to need to receive this clean item and bill of material data. And then you can push this data out, you know, in this case, we're sending it to an ERP system, to a CRM system, to an e-business system. But this is, you know, this can be bidirectional. In this case, we're pushing data, but we can also receive data back in if updates are being made in other systems to make sure that you have this one single clean source of data. And then I touched a little bit on the embedded analytics, but I'm going to restate that in that one of the components of the cloud solution is that the Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence, or OTBI, is just a part of what is delivered. So it comes with every solution. And what that enables you to do is you can create dashboards and have real-time analytics without any separate data mart or analytics tool. It's just part of the solution. And this shows how you can set up custom dashboards depending on whatever area you want to focus. And this is an example of doing some project phase gate analysis. You can also do, you know, first time right analysis around, you know, as you're introducing new parts, how many rejections are there, how long are things taking. And so within here, you know, you'll see there's a whole series of dashboards, and you have all the data available. So there's out-of-the-box dashboards and reports, but you can also go in and create your own data. And so that was a fairly quick tour, right? That was about 30 minutes to go through the full solution. And just to, you know, to recap that, we started with innovation and focused on capturing ideas, building out business cases, defining requirements, and then having an innovation portfolio to be able to understand, you know, what we want to move forward on. For project and resource management, we showed how you could create projects, you can track milestones, you can assign tasks to users, you can understand resource constraints and resource skill sets, and you can tie this data directly back with the other kind of business objects or data in the system. From a development standpoint, you can create items, parts, documents, bill of material. You can assign AML. You can do full change control process around managing that data. And then you can push this data or rather from a commercialization standpoint, you can add all the attribution and data that's necessary to expedite the manufacturing of the product. And so this is adding the attributes that are necessary and putting change control and governance around that data. All right, so that was the overview of the product. And now we wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, is SaaS or is on-premise PLM, you know, right for you? And so I'll start with this, but I'll also let Ben weigh in on this. And I think, you know, there isn't any right answer on this, right? What I am seeing is we're getting more and more kind of questions from companies where, from a CIO or an IT strategy standpoint, there's been a directive to say that we want to move to the cloud, right? So, you know, we don't necessarily have the skill sets internally to set up servers or to maintain, maintain patches on systems and make sure the security of the data center is intact. And so what we're seeing is a lot of organizations are now saying, we want to try and move our applications to the cloud. And and then they ask us, are you in a position where you can support that move? And so that's where we come into the state of the capabilities of what I've shown. And on the Oracle data centers, we have data centers throughout the world. And the security is top notch in that we run our own data in the data centers and we have our customer data in the data centers. And so we have to be able to be confident that the data is secure, and we invest the time and the effort and the resources to ensure that it is. And I think one of the questions that is always interesting is from an internal standpoint or an IT standpoint. We are probably investing significantly more time, effort, money, and resources on ensuring the data centers are secure versus the individual company that's managing the data themselves, right? So that's something to think about also. And then maybe Ben, I'll let you weigh in also.
Sure. Yeah, no, thanks, Chris. I think you touched on a lot of those main questions or concerns that are being asked and explored. Not only on a cost savings perspective, IT related, right? Operational margin means less money up front, right? So we're able to focus on the business, not only saving ourselves physical funds here, but allocating our resources more appropriately and maximizing them, in the way of personnel and on other fronts as well. So for me and, with the audience that we've got today, I know for a fact that what you've seen here in terms of Oracle Cloud, it's the first time you've seen it. And so understanding what's available, understanding what Oracle Cloud is offering now that is either better or what can we put and use in the way of cloud products to alleviate current business issues or bottlenecks, free up certain areas of the business. I mean, these are very important questions to ask, and Oracle and Domain Systems as consultants on that front are certainly here to help you sort that out. Wanted to mention just one other item. There's all of many customers here attending, and many that we've got and have worked with over the years that are on the bleeding edge, meaning that a new version, right, and historically a new version of Agile rolls out. They're upgrading almost regardless of the feature and function set that's coming out with it. That type of mindset and that type of looking forward and wanting to be on that bleeding edge, this is the bleeding edge now. And I think, by that right alone, it makes sense to really investigate what's available and take a hard look at the transition. So that's what I'd offer for now, Chris.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And so then we just had a couple wrap-up slides, and then we'll open this up to Q&A, right? And so this may not have been clear as I was going through this. So one thing I want to highlight is, this cloud solution that we showed today, this innovation component is completely complementary to A9, right? So you could implement this solution and tie it to your existing on-premise A9. The Commercialize, the same idea, right? So this whole setup of the commercialization, you can tie this in to your A9, right? There'd be an integration from A9 into Cloud Product Data Hub, and then to ERP. And then the project and resource management, this is an area where there is a little bit of an overlap, right? If you're using Agile on-premise PPM, then this wouldn't make sense. But there is a full project and resource management in the cloud. And again, this can complement the existing A9. And the only reason I bring this up is because I think, as Domain has a long history with implementing Agile, and I think a lot of you guys on the call are Agile customers, just want to help clarify kind of where the cloud can play with Agile. And then this middle piece, the develop, is really, that is direct kind of overlap with Agile product collaboration, right? So if you're using Agile product collaboration, this doesn't make any sense. If you're looking to move to the cloud, then this would be an area that would then make sense. And so, some of you, I'm sure Agile customers, we've done, value assessments with you, and you've seen some of the results that happen from being able to take these processes and automate them and put control around them. For customers on the webinar that are just looking at this automating PLM for the first time, these are the types of benefits that we see, and it's both on a top line standpoint as well as on a cost reduction standpoint. So I think when you consider making a move or automating these processes and putting control around them, there is a solid business case that can be put together to help drive the decision to do that. And then the final slide, what I would leave you with on this Oracle's Innovate to Commercialize are a couple points. One is it's a full end-to-end business process solution, right, that's available in the cloud. And I only focused really on the parts that we wanted to talk about today, which is kind of the broader PLM. But from an Oracle standpoint, the full business process, manufacturing, planning, everything is available in the cloud. And from a PLM standpoint, we're the only solution that's going to be available on top of a master data management platform. And that's really what the Product Data Hub provides you. And then the UI you saw, there's a big focus on keeping the UI modern, embedding social, and having, conversations within the application. And then having mobile as a core component. So everything is designed to work with mobile, so there isn't any add-on for mobile apps. And so, as you take up these applications, you can use it, be it iPhone, Android, tablet, you can use all of that just out of the box. There's no work that's required on your part. And then the final point is, we talked about how on the front end, there's innovation management, which provides kind of an entry point into the cloud. If you're, as an organization, you're just looking to start moving to the cloud. And then on the tail end, the Product Data Hub, same idea. So there are components of this, even if you just want to go with a kind of a piecemeal approach that you could take advantage of immediately to start moving to the cloud. This is the final slide. So I think many of you may already be going to the modern supply chain experience, but this is a big deal for at least, the traditional Agile and the overall Oracle supply chain management. Oracle Open World is focused on the broader Oracle, and this is really an area or an event that's focused on supply chain. There is a good turnout of Agile people, and a lot of you may already be going. If you're not going already, this is something to consider. There are promos, and there will be a big focus on everything I just showed you as part of this presentation, where we can go into more detail and you can ask questions and see demonstrations of it. And I think Domain will obviously have a presence there also. All right, and so with that, we did want to open it up to Q&A, and I think we have about 10 minutes. And so maybe, Ben, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, and Chris, I'll certainly need your help here. If not, have you just answer these entirely. A couple of these questions you've touched on since they came in. First, from what was shown as a current Agile PLM user, I'm not exactly sure how my modules translate to what I need in the cloud.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Maybe could that person just follow up with the modules they're using today in Agile? That would help.
That would, and I know again you touched on some of that there with the project management and whatnot. These things, PPM cloud can either complement. This could be one of the first rollouts, right, of your project management type operations within the business. So yeah, that would be good to. Let me see. Next, by going to Oracle Cloud, do I get a seamless integration to other supply chain applications in the cloud?
Yes. So that is one of the advantages, right? So this, when we were starting in the beginning by showing the kind of the single data model and footprint, that is really the benefit where it's a common data model, and so the applications will talk to each other as part of the Oracle Cloud.
Great. What would you say are the primary savings I get by going to cloud?
Well, so this is more, so that's an interesting question, right? And I think Ben hit on this a little bit, but first off, there's a whole licensing question. So if it sounds like that's a financial question, right? So there's the whole question around, I guess, CapEx and OpEx from a licensing standpoint and how you're going to pay for the application. Now, and so for an existing Agile customer who's already licensed it, anytime you look at cloud, you're paying you are paying with OpEx, right, as opposed to CapEx. And so the cost of that is going to be incremental, and you can pay as you go. So that's going to be cheaper from that standpoint. There's no investment in infrastructure, so you don't have to buy machines. You don't have to maintain machines. So the effort to buy the material, to buy the hardware as well as to maintain it goes away, because that's going to be Oracle's requirement to do that. So I think it's really around the system setup and maintenance as well as the licensing are where the savings are going to come from. And Ben, feel free to add to that if you want.
No, that's perfect. I think that covers it well. That original question, they follow up their module set. So PC, PQM, then of course the viewer, but so product collaboration and quality. So what does that translate? I'm not exactly sure how my modules translate to what I need in the cloud.
Okay, so let me try and answer that. So let's start on the beginning, right? Because this one, Innovate, that's just net new, right? There's no overlap at all. So I think that one is probably clear. The development this is where the modules of PC and PQM, PGC, where this stuff falls into. Now, from a where is Oracle standpoint right now, the quality solution is not available yet. That is planning on coming in a future release. So that, currently Oracle's on R12 right now, and those are the cloud releases. And so PQM is something that is obviously a priority, and it's coming in a future release, as well as the compliance. So I think, and then PPM, this PPM is the project and resource management on the bottom, right? So maybe I'll pause and see if that helped address it. I think for the way I would leave it is PQM not available yet, but planned, and that's upcoming, and we can get back to you, with specific releases and dates.
Great. Thank you, Chris. And we'll see if there's anything or any follow-up there. That is all of the questions that we had. Unless we see something else come in, I think we can go ahead and kind of close up here. So I did want to thank you again, Chris, for taking the time and walking through all of this with us. Very informative and helpful. Also wanted to echo what you said on the modern supply chain event, right? So if you just jump online here, look at Oracle's site, the agenda that they've got laid out for the event is interesting, I think exciting. They're going to be covering a lot of really good content, and of course having a lot of even customers participating in these presentations as to what they've been doing to date and where they've been leveraging the cloud in their business. So really excited to see that. But yeah, it doesn't look like we're getting a follow-up on that, so you answer that. So I think with that, we'll just go ahead and wrap up a couple of minutes early. Chris, unless there's anything else you had, I think we're pretty much set.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Great.